Hi everybody, Kitsune Haruri here, and welcome to my channel. As you can see, once again, I am doing another crafty type thing, so you can't see my face. I'm over here somewhere. Anyway, today I am continuing on my series for the Squishies, and what we're going to be doing is decorating one entirely the way I want to decorate it. If you've been watching the previous videos, I did a quick review on some store-bought squishies, a few of which, were good quality, low price, some with a better price, but bad quality. But I also got a couple of kits where I could do some things on my own. The first of which, if you watched, was the Sculpt and Squish Ultimate Failure. This was the only survivor, as everything else cracked, and that's no squishy. But he is a cute snail, so he gets to live. The second video that I did, where I was actually doing a little bit of something, I just followed a $1 kit doing pretty much exactly what they wanted, using the paints that they had. With one exception, I added some glow in the dark because I wanted his eyes to glow, and that's where this happy little fella came from. Now, following that, I had another kit of the same kind, and this one I decided to decorate it the way I want to decorate it. And that's where this little fella comes in. This little guy, little unicorn Pegasus thing, alicorn if you know the actual terms and watch too much My Little Pony. I started him out straight away. I went ahead and spray painted with some Tulip Color Shot. Not sponsored, by the way. It just seems to be the thing that most of the squishy remake decorator, whatever you want to call them, this is what a lot of people are using, and from what I'm seeing, this is actually a really good choice. It is a fabric paint. It's intended to go on clothing, and it's pretty resilient. So I am happy with that. This is where I'm starting out. I went ahead and did that just to save time. So, this little guy, I'm still deciding. I haven't fully decided what I'm going to do, but I think I'm going to take inspiration from the packaging that the glow-in-the-dark paints came in. And I don't know how well you can see this on camera, but there are little moons and stars, and I thought, sure, why not? Let's put some stars and things on this little guy. Let's make him a galaxy unicorn. Some of the paints I'm going to start out with, I may use some more of these, because I still have them. I haven't opened them up to see if they've dried out yet. But if they have, I guess I won't use them. But for right now, they look like they're okay. I'm also going to be using Tulip glow-in-the-dark dimensional fabric paints. Just because I want to do glow-in-the-dark. I also have a lot of paints over here that I have had for a while. More glow-in-the-dark, some shiny, some glittering. I also have some Deco Art So Soft, which is another paint intended for fabrics. Of course, more Tulip glitter. I've got some Scribbles, which is just another brand, same thing. Alright, I think the first thing that I want to do, even though there's a little bit of repair I need to do for this foot, it just doesn't seem to have much in there, maybe like there's an air bubble in it. That's just going to get taken care of with an addition of some of that puffy paint, because it will fill it in. But otherwise, I think I'm going to do some gradient spots, just because I feel like it. So, looking at my colors that I've got, I'm wondering if I can turn that pink into a purple. So, and yes, I am intentionally ruining this paint, because after this, it's a pretty good bet I'm not using it for anything else. I have no need to. A little hard to do with a cocktail stirrer. These things are a little tiny bit on the flexy side. Alright, that is done. I believe I'm going to use this brush. These are sacrificial brushes. I've got some cheapies laying about. It's always good to have a nice selection of really cheap brushes that you don't really care about, just for this sort of thing. Using with these kinds of paints, you're likely to ruin them. Or if you do resin, you're likely to ruin them. I think I'm going to try and do a fade up from the bottom with this. Let's see how this goes. And like before, actually, this paint does give a really good coating for being cheap dollar store $1 craft kit paint. I'm not disappointed. Actually, what I might do is make this look like a cloud all the way around the bottom. I'm going to do that once I get around this tail here, under his wings. I'm just going to make a little bit of cloud shape along the top. That might be cuter than doing gradient. Yes, I am painting the spot where I'm going to be doing some repair, just so the gradient will run up under it, because I intend to make that repair look like his hoof tip, and that's going to be a different color. So if I could just go loop. Doesn't have to be perfect at this stage. There'll be a second coat. Okay, I'm going to let this dry a little bit, and then I'm going to apply a second coat before we continue on. Alright, so that's got the second coat put on. I clean up my brush. Something crossed my mind while I was waiting on that last layer to dry, that if this is going to be kind of galaxy-like, spatter painting is going to have to happen. And I like my spatter painting. So, I can't do it with this stuff. It's a little bit too thick. Definitely can't do it with that. So I went into my acrylic paints, and I have pulled out some white pearl metallic. It's by Deco Art. Again, not sponsored. What I'm going to do, after I get this good and shook up, is I'm going to go ahead and spatter it all over this unicorn. And after that, once I have all the painting done, I have something else I'm going to use, by Deco Art again. It's called Galaxy Varnish, and what the Galaxy Varnish has in it, it looks white, but it actually dries clear and leaves behind all these little speckles and sparkles and all sorts of really cool stuff. I think I'm going to apply it. I don't know how much. Maybe it'll just be an accent, because I do still want the squishy to be squishy and not crack away. And this is not a fabric paint. So, that's going to go on at the end. This, however, is going to go on now, which actually, while I'm thinking about it, let's get a little protection for my sewing machine sitting back here. Limited space equals need for creativity and keeping things clean. I'm going to put some paper towel down so that I can move away the mess once I'm done making it. And I better grab my apron, or I'm going to end up wearing this. If you do spatter painting and you can't do it outside for weather or whatever reason, make sure you have plenty of stuff to cover up your work area with. And unless you're wearing clothes that you don't care if they get really painted on badly, you better have an apron. Just a little bit of water, a little bit of paint. I'm going to scrub it into this brush. And then flick. And yeah, it goes everywhere. Be ready for this. Now I kind of want to do that same color on her horn. So, I had thought to use this. That's a really crappy brush. This is like one of those little crap-a-doodle things that you get in a Crayola kit. It has plasticky bristles. I don't think I want to use it. This paint, I can use my good stuff. So, up here to the thing, I want this one, I think. Little dip of water. Get it ready. Dry it off. In case you're wondering, I always dip my brush in water first so I can smooth the bristles and also make it ready to take the paint. So let's see if I can do this without touching and ruining my spatters. So as an afterthought, and I want to do a little bit more color, I'm going to do some spatters in this as well. It's Folk Art Metallic Gold, and I'm going to add that to the pearlescent spatters. Same technique as before. Try and keep this minor. Oh, it's much for minor. Now I've done about 3 coats of paint on his horn. It's going to take a little while for that to dry yet, but the rest of this is dry, so I figure I'm going to look at these hooves next, especially this little ruined one. I'm going to be using some of the tulip paints to fill that in a bit and puff it back up so it doesn't look so crinkly and wrinkly. And I believe what I want to do is use glow. Just for argument's sake, let's do each one of those in a different color. I believe what I would like to do is have a blue one, a purple one, a green one, and a yellow one. Unusual color choices, I know, but that's what I'm doing. So, starting out, let's go with some of this purple. Let's take this paint tray here. Ooh, and that comes right on out, no problem. I am going to start with this hind hoof right here. And try and fill it in as smooth as possible in spite of air bubbles. Ah, made a boo-boo. That's okay. Right now, I can still remove it. Yeah, that's what we need to do. Make everything nice and smooth as possible. And then just conduct it around so that it doesn't run off until it sets a little bit. Alright, just let him rest for a moment. Don't forget to clean off your tips before you put on your lids, or else you end up with messes like I've got here. It does want to run just a little tiny bit. Just so I can set him down without him sticking. A little bit of that. Okay, so that one's going to be purple. I do believe, for the sake of matching, this will be blue, that will be green. Let's make the other hind one yellow. Haven't used this kind of paint in a really, really long time. I often forget just how easily it can run. I'm just using the tip here to smooth around the paint. Get it under a little bit of control. Air bubbles seem to be the hardest part of using these right out of the bottle. They get buried in there and they make lumpy looking spots, and then they rise up and pop and give you issues. So anyway, here we are with our little painted hooves. And again, I'll give this one some time to dry, and we'll be back with some more details. It took a little bit of time for this to dry. As a matter of fact, it is the next day. As you can see, this one dried pretty good. That one's okay. These two kind of slipped and left hoof prints all over my mat. That's alright. They're on there. It's okay. I'll add some more later. But for now, let's move on to the next thing. And the next thing is that I would like to have a stripe on the horn, swirling up it. He's going to need some eyes. And I think I'm going to put some little stars and such on his galaxy. So, going back to the gold paint. And I need some flat white. Because flat white is going to be the best thing for doing the base on the eyes, just to make them show up better. So, let's start there. Yeah, that's an old bottle. Got my flat white. These are just basic acrylic paints, but by Deco Art, Folk Art, any of them. They work just fine for what I'm doing right here. If you're going to do the entire thing, though, it's very likely that these will crack and come off. So because I'm using these particular paints, back to that little fine line brush. Because that's what it's made for. I believe I'm going to put this right about there. Just a little white dot. That's all. Let's see if I can line up the other one. Looks pretty good. I think while I'm doing that, I think I'll make the wings white too. A little bit bigger brush for the fill-in. Alright. Not the best shape of wings I have ever seen in my life, but they'll do for now. So while we wait for those to dry off a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and try and get that little stripe on that horn. Yeah, some of the paint's showing through, But metallics, unfortunately, have this wonderful habit of being a little skimpy and see-through sometimes. I've seen it in some of the best paints in the world. It's still thin. Just how it is. So let's get a little bit of this. I believe I will start. Let's start from the bottom because I'm going to go all the way around it. Okay, well, good enough. And let's go right on up and around. I've said it before, I'll say it again, it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be good enough for you. Let's just top off the very tip in gold. There we are. We're not done playing with our gold just yet, or our white for that matter. Because I'm going to start adding stars. As a matter of fact, I see a candidate right back here that would just love to be a star, I'm sure. So let's do that. Do a little moon right on the cheek. Maybe a little star just here. A little gold spot right there, just calling to me. I wonder if I can make it look like a little planet. Grab a little bit of the gold now. If I can't do some nebulous looking stuff here. Might actually want to put some color into that. Let's try. Get a little blue in there. Try and thin it out really good. Add some of the white. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, I like it with a little bit of blue there. Pick up some more gold, a little more water. Just keep it thin and nice. Try and keep it cloud-like. And also keeping it so those little speckles show through. Okay, that second coat is going to dry a little bit. Let's continue on with some of the other stuff. Just maybe, let's start with a white. A solid dot. And a tail. You know where I'm going with this. Let's hit that with a little gold too. There we are. I think some long eyelashes would be cute, because that's what I want. That's how it is with these things anyway. We do what we want. I'm going to do them with white at this point, just to give them a nice solid base. Kind of a Hello Kitty style looking eyelash. Okay. I think a little bit of a purple iris would be nice. Just because this color intrigues me, I'm going to go back and revisit it and try it a little bit on the tail. Just see what it does. This time I'm going to try very hard not to make it so thick and clumpy that it doesn't dry properly. Let's start down here. Very thin. Alright, not too thick, just enough thickness to cover. Note I'm not doing the bottom, because I don't really want to glue it to the surface I set it on. Not a good plan. A little bit more over here, it looks like. Alright, here's hoping for that one. I do believe I'm going to come over here and try and work it around that star. I really maybe should have done this before I did the star, but I didn't. What can you do? Hopefully it'll smooth out as it dries. If not, my horsey here is going to have a little bit of lumpy hair. But we'll see how that goes too. I want to see what the glow is like on this gray, just because that is just such an unusual color to find in glow in the dark. I get it, you can make anything glow in the dark because basically you're not actually seeing the pigment itself glowing, but some minerals that are mixed in with it to make that glow. But hopefully I'll come up with something really nice looking and not too bland. This a little thicker on the top because there was a little oddity in the foam, made a bump right there, and I didn't like the looks of it. Now might be a good time to employ the cheapy brush, to be honest. So let's do that. As you can see, I'm not really painting with the brush as much as kind of urging the stuff to go in the direction I want it to go. Because if you try to paint with it, it's just going to wipe it right back off. At least that's what I'm finding with the stuff I'm working with here on this particular item. On fabric, it's likely to behave a lot better. That has been my experience. I think maybe this is just a little too slick for it. I just stuck my finger in it, wouldn't you know. Take care of that in a minute. Don't want to move around too much if you do that. If your finger's already in it, don't move. All you'll do is smear it. Just wait, finish what you're doing that caused you to do it. Extricate your finger when you're done. I get the feeling I'm not going to get really good coverage, but then again, I didn't on the hooves either, so I'm not going to be too uptight about it. That's how it's going to be. Then that's how it's going to be. Yeah, she's a little rough looking right now. It's going to get worse before it's better, I imagine. That's okay. This is for fun. What have I not used yet? I've not used that orange. And again, it doesn't match anything else there. So I'm going to do it. Why not? This is a very true neon orange. Very nice. Right along this top edge. Because we know it's going to run. That's just a given. So let's use it to our advantage. Alright, so the next day, I did come back in and do a couple of extra layers on this and touch up a few things, but unfortunately, this paint is just not going to do what I need it to do as far as coverage goes. So I think I'm just going to cut my losses and let it be what it is. Kind of semi-see-through and glow in the dark. I'm going to go now, and I did have a little oops right there. A little bit of it ran. It decided it was going to live on the wings, so it's there. Can't do much about that. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next thing and give this a little bit of glaze. That would be what I was talking about before, the Deco Art Duraclear Galaxy Varnish. And it's going to add a little bit more of the speckling, but I'm not going to put it absolutely everywhere. I just want to use this as an accent, and it does have glittery stuff in it as well. So that will add to the garishness of it. So, I believe I definitely want to put it on the wing, because the wing is very boring. And maybe some of the purple area. And I'll leave the black as it is. So going to my brush, moistened it a little bit. And on we go. Now this is going to go on very white looking, but it dries clear with a really, really nice glossy finish. And in it, there's a lot of sparkle and confetti. Now some of the confetti is not going to show up on the wing because it is white. That's okay. In that case, I'm in it for the sparkle. And that part will actually show up on the purple much better. Just for that one little spot. I am putting it on just a little bit on the thick side, just because I really want a lot of that stuff. Because really, this project isn't about perfection, obviously. I'm just doing what I want to do and experimenting with materials. Because if you want to do something good with your materials, you gotta know how to use them first. All the way around. Really thick. A little bit sloppy. Just for the sake of it, maybe a little bit on my clouds too. Just to bring them out some. Because right now they look a little dingy. Alright. And once again, I'm going to let that sit and dry. Now don't think for an instant I'm stopping with painting this thing. I have ideas. Garish ideas. That have to do with glue and little jewels. So, when we come back, once this is dry, I'm probably going to glue some things to it. So, I'll see you back here then. Now that the painting is done, as you can see, I've got that nice sparkling finish. It's time to do a few embellishments. Because that's what I want to do. First of all, I think my wings need some sort of a detail. And as you can see, hey, they're still squishy. We still rise, so I haven't ruined it. And those eyes are just a little too plain for a galaxy, funky colored alicorn. So for the wings, I'm going to add some of these beauties. And in here, I've got some flat jewels that I think will look good on the eyes. And I'm just going to put them on with a little bit of hot glue because it's quick, it's easy, and we're on day 4 because we're waiting for paint to dry. So, here we go. I think these will make some very nice eyes. Alright, so there we have it. This is the finished product. A little bit of glue, a little bit of fabric paint, and acrylic paints and embellishments. And that ain't no masterpiece. Yeah, she's not the best thing I've ever made, but she was fun to make, and I learned a little bit about the materials that I was using so that for future use, I'll have a little bit of a better grasp and get some better results. And after all, that's what this is really about. Trying it out, seeing how it works out, and creating something new. So, I would like to thank you all for watching. This should be the last of the Squishy series, now that we've got all of our little friends complete. That still drives me nuts. Anyway, that was it for our Squishy series. I may revisit Squishies at another time. I don't know. Maybe I'll find something new to do with them. But I have now sculpted a Squishy, painted one for a kit, and then made a big old mess out of one because that's what I felt like doing. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell if you would like notifications to let you know when the next video comes out, which is usually every Friday at midnight because that's when I tell it to post it up. And if you would like to ask any questions, make any comments, feel free to make the comments down below. Thank you for watching. Visit me on Patreon. Visit me on Pinterest. Visit me on DeviantArt and on Facebook as Steamed Fox Latte. And everybody, have a great day.